master both test 1, test 2. Yes. All your tests, you have to master them. Then also you have to go to the assignment, look for the review, and then after you do the exercises for all the chapters. Yes. So let me share my screen. Share. So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about object-oriented programming. Yes, thank you, Cesar. So we're going to talk about object-oriented programming. And then Johannes Strastrap defines OOP, blah, blah, blah. Is the guy who created or who invented C++. So Johannes Strastrap defines it as a technique for programming, a paradigm for writing a good programs or set of programs. He argues that OOP is a good way to write programs because it allows the following. Yes. So now I'm going to focus more on the encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. So those are the pillars of object-oriented programming, or these are the concept pillars of object-oriented programming. So OOP to be OOP, it's made of these 4 pillars or these 4 concepts, which is encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. There was a question. I think I'm going to pick for the book 1, the book for test 1 for SAP, and I'm going to teach using the question for the test, which is book. So let me look for it. Look, where are you? Yes, I think this is the one. Yes, this is the one. No, it's not the one. Let me look for another one. Okay, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I'll look for the question paper when I need it. But now let's first discuss the encapsulation. What is encapsulation? So encapsulation refers to, it's whereby you just take variables and functions and then you encapsulate them into a single unit, which is what? Which is a class. So let me share the entire screen because I want to use the IDE. Share the entire screen. The IDE. Yes. Yeah. So can you see my IDE? Yes. So now we said encapsulation refers to whereby you just take your variables and your functions and then you put them into a single unit, which is what? Which is a class. So for instance, if I create a class and then I say book, and then I create a class and then I say book, and then I put private members, then I said, okay, string author, and then I say public, and then I say void print. Yes. So now this is encapsulation. The part that I just did right now, this is what this is called encapsulation. I just this one is called a member function. This was called a member variable. So now I have a member variables and a member functions inside what? Inside the class. Inside this class. So now this is called what? Encapsulation, because I have my member functions and member variables into a single unit. So now this is called encapsulation. Guys, maybe encapsulation before I move on to another concept, which is abstraction.
Can you repeat, sir?
All right. So now,
Zoom.
oh, so I have the concept of let's look at the definition here, but the data and behavior of an object are encapsulated together, which makes it easier to understand and maintain the code. Yes, but as long as cool is. So in simple words, encapsulation is the binding of member variables and member functions into a single unit. In simple words. So that is very clear. It's the binding of member variables and member functions into a single unit. So that is encapsulation. Sorry. So I have this member variable, which is order, and also I have this member function, which is print. So I've binded them inside what? Inside the class, which is both. So this concept is what? I've just applied the concept of encapsulation. Because before you were introduced to object-oriented programming, you're using the procedural programming, whereby you're just writing code. You're just writing code, no classes. You're using divide and conquer method, whereby you're just writing the functions stuff. You're dividing the code into functions rather than dividing the code into classes. So that was procedural programming. But now we introduce the concept of encapsulation, whereby we just bind the variables and member variables, just binding the variables and the member functions inside a single unit. So that is encapsulation. Yeah, guys. Before I move on to the concept of abstraction. You can ask and say, no, I don't understand. And then I can try to put it simple. Okay. Yes. All right. And then now we go to abstraction. Objects can be used to represent abstract concepts, which makes it easier to think about the problem being solved. You see. Now we're using objects can be used to represent abstract concepts, which makes it easier to think about the problem being solved. So that means now we're using objects now to represent the abstract concept. So when you're creating an object, so that means now the space is going to be allocated. Now a class becomes what? Becomes a data type. A class becomes what? Becomes a data type. So abstraction, according to Dr. Tinaro, defines it as a process of separating the logical properties of data from its implementation or from the implementation. I'm going to repeat this concept. Let me accept someone. Yes. So totally Lord Tinaro defines the concept of abstraction as the process of separating the logical properties of data from the implementation. See now, when I'm writing my code now, I'm going to write this code into 3 parts. The one is going to be called, going to write this one, and then I'm going to write the other one for the implementation, about writing the implementations for the function. And then I'm going to write the client one, which has the main function. Yes. So that is the concept of the abstraction. But let me just show you in action, because in theory you cannot separate it from the practical. What I'm talking about is you see When people see AP questions whereby define abstraction, they think it's theory, but obviously this can be done practically. Because now this is a class, right? Let me save it as a book, and then it's a header file, so it's a header, then that's the documentation. Okay. Let's look for question. Okay. I don't have the question paper for your test. Let me try and look for it because I want to answer this question. I want to show you the concept of abstraction practically. Let me actually go to my WhatsApp and look for the question paper. Yes. Yeah, I'll find the question paper. Let's say the entire screen. Yes, it's fine. So this is the paper. Yeah, oh, another thing, I can be flexible. I'm able to explain the concept in essay class, but if that's accepted, of course. But if you prefer me to speak English, it's fine. I can speak English, but if others prefer me to mix and to explain in both English and essay class, it's fine. I can do that. Yes, so this is the question paper. So it's question 3, you are tasked to create a C++ program that models a sample book inventory system using object-oriented programming principles. Then number 1, create a C++ class named book to represent a book. The class should have the following private data members: title, author, ISBN, price. See, these are member variables. Don't expect the lecturer to give you the data types. You have to know which data type to use if the data type is not given for the title. But you know the title, okay, it's always going to be a string because it's just a mix of characters. And then the author is just a combination of it's a combination of 2 or more characters. That's the string. That's the definition of the string. The ISBN also. Then the price, but the price now they are using Utaba now for the price because it can be a decimal or a character. So now, number 1, they are saying create a class named book to represent a book. This class should have the following private data members: title, author, ISBN, price. And then I already have author. Let me add the other variables. So it's title, then this ISBN, this one, then you have string, ISBN, and then I have author title, I have string title, and then I have also string title, and then I have string sorry, I have double price, and then so I'm answering this question, but I want to show the concept of abstraction. But I have to answer this question so that I can show you by code. And then say implement. So I'm going to underline the word. Implement appropriate constructors for the book class. So let's first define a constructor. What is a constructor? So a constructor is a function. Okay, constructor is a function. It's what? It's a function. This function has the same name as a class name. Okay, let me come back here. So a constructor is a function. This function has the same name as a class name. So start there when you're defining a constructor. Okay, what is a constructor? You say, okay, a constructor is a function. This function has the same name as a class name. And then now, what does it do? When I'm saying a constructor, it's a function that has the same name as a class name. And also, that is the first part. And then the second part is saying a constructor does not have a return type. That's the second part. The third part is the job of the constructor. What is the job of the constructor? What does it do? A constructor is used to initialize the member variables. It's used to initialize the member variables. You've finished defining what is a constructor. And then now we have two different types of constructors. We have the default constructor and the parameter constructor. And there are others as well, but the ones which are mostly used in this course, it's default constructor and parameter constructor. So you have to master those two. So the default constructor now, it's a function. This function does not have a return type. This function has the same name as the class name. And also this function does not have parameters. And now let me go to the parameter constructor. Parameter constructor is the function. This function has the same name as the class name. But this function does not have return type, and also it has parameters. On the default constructor, there are no parameters, but on the parameter constructor, there are parameters. And then a default constructor is used to initialize the member variables to the default values. For instance, if it's double, going to initialize this to 0.0. So we have to give it the default value initially. We want to put something into the memory of the computer. We don't want to just leave the garbage values. We want to put some values so that before we start leaving, there must be something inside the memory of the computer before we put something there. And then now the parameter constructor, obviously, we're going to use it to put the data members inside the object. But we're going to see that to initialize the members of the member variables inside the client program. But we're going to see that when we're doing it practically. So guys, did you understand the concept of constructors? The default, do you know the difference between default constructor and parameter constructor? Anyone? Okay, so we said a constructor is a function, right? So a function goes as if owned by a function. we have to see this thing. And then we're going to say, okay, hope is a function because there is that guy. So that is the indicator of what? Of a function. And then this one, it's a function that has the same name as the class name. And this function does not have a return type. You see this function print, it has a return type, which is void, which is called non-return type because the void returns nothing. And now this one is called a default constructor. Why? Because it does not have a return type, and also it has the same name as the class name. Again, it does not have parameters. So that's why we call it a default constructor. And then going to the parameter constructor, you can do it like this. And you say, all right, we're going to have string. And then I'll just use A for author and say A, and then string. I'll use I for ISBN, which is I. And then for title, I say string. And then I use T for title. And then I say double. And then I use P for price. And then there's that. So this one, it's parameter constructor. It's different from the default constructor because this one has parameters and this one does not have parameters. And this one, it's not used, and this one it's used to initialize the member variables to the default values. But this one, it's used to initialize the member variables of the object, but not to the default values. This one is the one that is used to initialize the member variables to the default values. So I hope, guys, you've understood the constructors. This one's default, or let me just increase this guy. Yes, it's default, constructor, yes, constructor, and then again I have the parameter constructor, which is this one, and then this is parameter constructor. This is parameter constructor. This one it's called the default constructor. This one is a parameter constructor. Let me remove this guy. So I hope, guys, you understood everything from now. So guys, did you understand the concept of constructors? Do you understand what is a constructor? What is the difference between a default constructor and a parameter constructor? I need a voice now. A voice, just say no. I understand the difference now between constructor and I understand what is a constructor, and also I understand that there are two types of different constructors, which is a parameter constructor and a default constructor. A default constructor, it's used to initialize member variables to the default values, and then the parameter constructor, it has parameters now, which is different from the default constructor, which does not have parameters. But we did that practically. So you cannot say, oh, it's theory because you are being asked what you are doing. But okay, differentiate between a default constructor and a parameter constructor. You can even give examples when you are defining it, and it's advisable for you to just give examples to show that you understand the difference between a default constructor and a parameter constructor. I think you can score more marks when you are giving the example, just to show that, no, I understand this, the difference between a parameter constructor and a default constructor. Guys, can we move on? Do you understand this thing of the parameter constructor and the default constructor?
Yes.
I need a voice. Oh, thank you. All right, let's move on to this one. And then it's saying Implement appropriate constructors for book class. Sorry. Let me go back here. There's this question, you have to master this question. Explain how access specifiers, public, private, protected, are used in C++ classes to control the visibility and the accessibility of class members. It's easy to just go to Malik and answer this question. It's very easy. Even this one, abstract data type, provide example of an abstract data type in service using abstract underlying data operations. Even this one, for this one, I prefer for you to go to the video that is on my YouTube channel, which is made by Dr. Lloyd Tinara, where he is explaining this concept of ADTs, abstract data types, and it's very easy there. Discuss the concept of information hiding. This is Malik. This is your theory, but this is the theory, this is the practical, and you cannot separate theory from practical. You are being asked what you are doing here. Because see, these members are private. So that means if these members are private, they cannot be accessible outside the class. You see this code that I'm writing. So that means it cannot access these members. See these members. It cannot access those members directly. You see these members are, so that means these members can only be accessed within the class. And also that means they can only be accessed within the class and by these public member functions. And now we have these public members. We have these public members, which is book, the default constructor and parameter constructor. These members are accessible directly outside the class and also are accessible directly inside the class. But the private members are only accessible directly inside the class, not outside the class, meaning the private members are not directly accessible outside the class. Let's see. Again, we're just talking this practically. We're doing it practically. Yeah, guys, this thing, this concept that I'm trying to explain, private and public. Why did we declare those members private? Why did we declare these members public? Because we want to restrict the direct accessibility to these members. But we want these to be directly accessible outside the class and inside the class. Yes. And then someone can ask, okay, if these members are private and they are not directly accessible outside the class, then how are we going to access them? And that's why we're using this public here, because we want to use the public members here to access the private members directly outside the class using these member functions that are going to be public. If I get this concept right, if I get the pattern that we explain it right. Yes. So let's continue. And then there's also another one, which is the parameters that allows you to set. See a parameters constructor that allows you to set title, author, ISBN, and the price when creating a book. Then now, number 3, provide a public member functions for the following functions or for the following operations. Provide public member functions for the following operations. Void display book info. This display the details of the book, including the title, the author, the ISBN, the price. So now we have this function, which is display book info. So that means now this function is going to print or is going to display a title, the author, ISBN, and the price of the book. So let's declare that one. Okay, so we are going to declare that one. It's void, print, it's void. I want to use it exactly. So let's just copy that. Because say copy, then you paste this part, Control V, yes. So now this is the function that we're going to use to print the details, which are author, ISBN, title, and price of the book. We're going to use this function. We are going to use this function. And then for this one, there's this one. So this number 3, this function to display the details of the book, including title, author, ISBN, and the price. And then now there's a question here, a statement. Sorry, there's a statement saying static int get total book. This function should return the total number of objects created. So now we have to also declare this function, which is get total books, and it must be static. And now we have to know the difference between a static member and a non-static member. What is the difference between a static member and a non-static member? Let's see. So let me also declare this one. Let's see. Control V. So now if we compare this one, so this one is non-static member, this function which is display book info, and this one which is has static, it's a static member. So what is the difference now between a non-static member and a static member? You see, a static member belongs to the class, but a non-static member, which is this function, belongs to an object. So that is the difference between a static member and a non-static member. So this one belongs to what? Belongs to the object. You see, this one belongs to the object. This one now belongs to the class. That's the difference. See, now when you're declaring a function now there, when you're calling this, you're going to use the object and the dot operator. By this one, we can use the class name and the scope resolution operator to call it. So that's the difference between non-static member and a static member. You see. And then if I get a pattern, and then now
No, sorry.
yes.
Phindele apho ku-starting members.
All right, no problem. So now, non-static member, this one, belongs to the class. And then now, sorry. Non-static member belongs to the object. This one belongs to the object. I want to make that clear. Len, I belong to the object. But this one belongs to the class. You see, if you declare, now we're creating a class here, and then on the main function, we're going to declare what? An object. So that means the space is going to be allocated for storing values inside the object. So now this member now belongs to what? Belongs to the object that we're going to create in the main function. But this one now belongs to this class, which is book. So that means you can call this function using the scope resolution operator and what? And the class name to call this one. Rather than we have to use what? Rather than using the object and the dot operator. But to call this one, you can use we're going to use the object and dot operator because this line number 14, which you have the display book info function, belongs to what? Belongs to the object. But this one belongs to the class. That's what belongs to what? To the object. Yes. So if I value this part of this thing of the static member and the non-static member, do you know the difference between the two now? I hope everyone is writing down. Yes. And then let's go. Okay, and then now we're going to have a problem when we're implementing this one. So we have to also create a static variable that is going to keep track of the count of, which is the total number of book objects created. So we have to create what? We have to create an object that is going to keep count. Even though it's not mentioned, we have to create what? A variable, a variable that is going to keep count. So let's create a static variable here. Static int, and then say total box, total box. So this one is going to keep count of the number of objects created. Yes. Let me remove this code. I don't write this thing down. Yes. Let me remove that one. This is that int total box. Yes. That's it. And then now we have this one for display book info. This one is for printing the author, the ISBN, the title, the price of the book. This one is return here. It's for returning the total number of book objects created. Yes. Number 4, use prop access specifiers to ensure information hiding. Private data members should only be accessible through member functions. And this is what we have used the private to make sure that these members are only accessible using these public member functions. You see, they said we must use appropriate access specifiers. So we have to know if there is no inheritance, you cannot use or protected. In protected is used only when you are dealing with inheritance. You cannot use protected when you are not dealing with inheritance. You see? So that means we are going to use private and public if we are not talking about inheritance. But now, if there is a child class now, if there is a child class, it's about going to use protected. There's someone who's up. Who's this guy? All right. All right. So, guys, are you good with this part? Remember, the reason we're doing this code, we want to explain the concept of abstraction, which we defined as this way. Abstraction is the process of separating logical properties of data from the implementation. So let's not forget about that. Yes. Yes, Yabonga. Yes. Question. Yes. What? Siyabonga. Ndikuva kahle. Uthi ngicela ndiphinde lona siyabonga.
Lento le protected.
Oh, the protected. Oh, benzithi the protected, you use it when you have your child class. You use protected when you have your child class. You use protected when you have a child class, so that means you use protected only when you are dealing with the inheritance. If I got a little part, but so explain the protected when I'm explaining the concept of inheritance. If I got right?
Okay, sir.
Yes. So that means if we are not dealing with inheritance, because inheritance is the process whereby I have a base class, I have a derived class, and the derived class inherits the properties of the base class. But so that means you have to have a base class, which is a parent class, and a derived class, which is a child class. So now if we don't have a child class, only have a base class. So if the inheritance is not occurring, so that means you're not going to use protected. Is that clear? I hope it's clear. And now, let's move on. Thank you for asking a question. And then use proper access specifiers to ensure information hiding. Guys, do you understand this question? You have to understand what does the question means so that you can be able to answer a question. Use proper access specifiers to ensure information hiding. Private data members should only be accessible through member functions. Do you guys now understand the question? Because you now understand the access specifiers. When we talk about access specifiers, we talk about private and public. We made these variables to be private. Why? Because we want them to be accessible only using the public member. So private and public are access specifiers. Guys, do you understand access specifiers? Should I repeat myself? Umntu angatsho athi hey khawuphinde. See, if uyoyika ukuthi into yobana awunderstandi ngesilungu, ungatsho nangesiXhosa uthi andi-understandi, ndicela uphinde phana kulaa ndawo. It's fine, I'm gonna do that. See, we're trying to cover object-oriented programming. We're explaining a concept using the code. So it's much easier now when you understand, because you see the code, and then it's going to be able to define a concept because you have seen it being applied practically. Right? Trying to claim, okay, encapsulation refers to the process of binding number variables and number functions into a single unit. You see, we have the member functions, we have the member variables, and they are bound together inside a single unit, which is what? Which is a class. So that is the concept of information hygiene. And now we're moving to the concept of abstraction, the exciting one. All right. And then you'll find. Yes.
Hiding and even
information hiding.
The concept and even too.
Started in the abstraction and encapsulation. I started in information hiding. Also, information hiding. Nansi uyayitsho apha uMsibulezana. Uthi uthini uMsibulezana? Question. Where is this question? All right. Uthi number 4. Use proper access specifiers to ensure information hiding. A valid question. Use proper access specifiers to ensure information hiding. Article private data members should only be accessible through member functions. So that means by doing this part, you are also ensuring what? The information hiding. And I've also even explained it here on the code practically. Say, okay, these guys are private, right? So that means they are only, that means you can directly access them inside the class. So now, how are we going to access these private members? We're going to use the public members to access these private members. So that is what is the statement saying. Private data members should only be accessible through member functions. So these are the member functions. So now that means now these guys can be accessible through these member functions, right? I hope this is clear. Yeah, but right. Before we continue. Yeah, but anyone? Anyone with a question before we move to the concept of the abstraction? Everyone, I hope you understand the concept of encapsulation practically. So if you understand it practically, that means I asked was with the exam. And also the concept of also the information hiding, you try to touch on it practically. So that's question number 4. That is question number 4. Yeah, question number 4. Yes, the question number 4. And also, I've also tried to tackle down the invisibility, which is private and public. How does it control the visibility of data? Again, so now we're on the concept of the abstraction. So this file now it's called book.cp. And now you see now this file is book.h. So that means now this is the header file. This is what? This is a header file. And now I have to include that header file here. Okay, good. Book.h. See now, that means I'm trying to take what is hidden, and then I'm including inside this file. So this file is called the implementation file. All right, it's called the implementation file. All right. What's this? Oh, that is not going to be interesting. And then this is called the implementation file. Sorry, this is called the header file. This is called the implementation file. This is called the implementation file. Sorry, that. So this one is a header file. This one is an implementation file. So now, how does the implementation file differ from the header file? You see, the implementation file has only the declarations. It has only the declarations. But now on the implementation file, we're trying to write the definitions of this function. So that means now on the implementation file, so on the header file, I have what? I have the function prototype. Then someone is going to ask, okay, what is a function prototype? A function prototype is a function like this. I cannot say this is a function, this is not a function because it does not have a body. There is no body there, so you cannot just say that is the function. Because even in mathematics, a function now, it must do something. Right? Y is equal to f of x, must do something. So even here in programming, a function must have a body. It must do something. But if it does not have a body like this, it's called what? It's called a function prototype. You see, it's called a function prototype. Okay, so these are function prototypes. And then now, let me copy those and put them here. Paste it. So now on this part, which is the implementation file, I'm going to write the implementations of these function prototypes. So when I was reading this question, there was this question, where is that? This one. It said, implement appropriate constructors for the book class. So the implement. So now that means I want to write the implementation of this function, which is book. So this function, which is book, is called what? It's called a default constructor. And then I want to write its implementation. So the implementation, I want to write the body of this function, which is a default constructor. But then how do I do that? So I do that like this. I write the return type first. First, you write what? A return type. But now we said the constructor does not have what? A return type. So that means you're going to write nothing for the return type. So after return type, you write what? You write the class name. So the name of the class is called the book. So you write that one. And then you write the scope resolution operator. This is the scope resolution operator, this guy. And then now inside, and then you write the body of the function. So that means you write the job of the function. Right? And now I can be confident and say this is the function because it does what? It does something. So what is the job for that function? So I'll just copy and paste that. You see, I'm taking this and then I'll put it inside here. And then I remove the data types. I remove the data types. Don't include data types there. Remove them. Remove the data types. Remove the data types. Remove the data types. Removes the data types. Removes the data types. So I'm just going to initialize this to null. So an empty string, it's an empty string. And then initially the string is empty. And initially the string is empty. And then the price is 0.0. So now initially the price is 0.0. And then now I want to increment whenever I'm creating an object. I want to increment whenever I'm creating an object so that I can keep track of the number of the object. So I'm going to increment this total box. So guys, let me say but right? Misamba. See, I hope ndiyavakala. Questions, call me on questions. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, let's answer some questions. Go Luvuyo. Yes, Luvuyo. Yes. Can ask a question. It's fine.
Okay, so why do you write 0 next to the price?
It's because you see when you are what is a variable in the first place? A variable is a container, right? It's for storing values. So now when I'm declaring the variable, so that means I'm allocating the space for storing the data. So that means when I'm allocating this space, I want to put the initial value. Okay, this is the initial value. Before I store the price of the book, what was there in that space that I've allocated? The book corner was 0. Do you get that? Yeah, Bagan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is there anyone with another question? Anyone with a question? Anyone with a question? Yes, Annalisa. Let's start with you.
Mina ngibuza pha ku-total books ubala la zi-plus plus kumele
Yes,
ntoni
plus. It's standing for, so this can also be done by this total books plus 1. So that's basically incrementing. You know? Just adding 1. Whenever you declare an object, add 1. Declare another object, add 1. So this is just for keeping track of number of objects that are created. So this one is the same as this one, which is total. This one is the same as total box. So this is the same as this one. So analyze, right? Right. Do you understand it? Analyze. All right. So that means now, if I don't write this one, I'm going to write it like this. So this one is the same thing as this one. We are just incrementing. That means you're adding 1 to the total box. So that means I have this book now. And then I have the second book. So that means I'm adding 1 because now I have 2 books. And then I have third book. I'm adding 1. So that means I have 3 books. So I hope you have Annalisa, I was still here.
Ewe, ndiyakuva, ndiyakuva.
Do you understand it?
Not ncam, kancinci.
You see, initially, before you create an object, you have 0 books, right? Don't close your mic. Or corner, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then you declare an object, and then you put some values for book, saying the author, ban. So that means you have the first book, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So if I create a second object now, so that means I'm going to add 1, and then now that means I'm going to have 2. That's the number of objects. I'm creating the second object now. So that means I have 2 objects. So that means I'm adding 1. So that means I have 2 objects now.
Yes.
Yes. So this is what it's doing, this guy. It's keeping track of the number of books that you have or number of books that you've declared by checking the objects that you are declaring. When you are declaring object for the first time, so that's the first book. Declaring another object, that's the second object, so that's 2. We're just adding 1 to that total box. I hope you have
And ndiyakuva, yena.
Yeah. Yes, and then yes. So is there anyone else with a question? Oh, I see the number is decreasing. Yes, I can see. If abantu balelo okanye badiniwe or they don't understand the concept, I'm not sure. See guys, you have to say, okay, I don't understand this part so that I can repeat. Don't just exit the meeting. Just say, no, I don't understand this. And then I'm gonna try to make it simple. Or I can even explain it using as a course. If you don't understand the concept. Yes. All right, let's proceed. Okay, now explaining the concept of abstraction. So, abstraction refers to the separation of logical properties from the implementation. You see, this is the prototype, right? And now, this is the implementation. This is the implementation. Sorry, what's that? Total books. So now this one, it's a default constructor, right? So that means now I'm separating the implementation. This is the implementation of this function, which is book. This function is a constructor. This is the implementation. I'm separating it from this function prototype. I'm separating it from the function prototype. The idea behind the abstraction is that you want to separate how to use and how does it work. For instance, in a cell phone, we are not interested on how does a cell phone work. We are only interested on how to use the cell phone. So this is the same as the abstraction in coding. We just want to separate this one. So we are not interested about how does a book work. I'm only interested on how to use or work on the client program. So the idea behind is to separate the logical properties from the implementation. So that means now this is the implementation. Is being separated from the main class. So that means now if I want to sell this class to someone else, for those who are doing computer science, who still want to go to the industry, if you want to sell this class now, you can sell it and then someone else can write his or her own definitions for these member functions. That means you're not restricting that person to write the definitions for these functions. So that means you can just give it, you can just sell this class, and then the person will just write the definitions for these classes. So this is the concept of abstraction. We are separating the logical properties from the implementation. See, this is just the implementation file. I'm just going to write the implementations of this function prototype. I have function prototype, and then I have the implementations. So now this is the concept of abstraction. I've just shown you I separated the implementation from a class. So that means the class now is independent. That means someone is not interested in, okay, so a user might not be interested, okay, how does a certain function work? So only interested on how to use a function. So we want to separate the use from the design. So again, abstraction is the concept of separating logical properties from the implementation. I hope that part is clear. I hope that part is clear. So guys, Nyandiva so far, I need a voice. Anyone? Achindobana no give a god. But we can continue. Yes. Yes, all right, nice one. Thank you. So we have this class, right? And then we have this file. So this one is called a header file. This one is a header file. This one is called implementation file. So this one, it's for declaring the data members. So we are only declaring. We are not writing the implementation. So when I'm talking about the implementation, I'm only talking about the job of the function. And I'm talking the declaration. I'm just allocating the spaces inside the memory of the computer. But when I'm talking about the implementation, I'm actually giving this function, okay, what does this function book do? Okay. And then now, this is the job of this function, which is book. This book function does this, it's called a default constructor. Its function is to initialize the member variables to its default values. You see this class, which is book, has these variables. It has author, ISBN, title, price, total cost, which is the static member. And then now I want to initialize these member variables to the default values. But I'm not going to do that inside here. I'm not going to do it inside here. That means I'm going to do it on a separate file, which is the implementation file. So now we said the abstraction is the concept of I separate the logical properties from the implementation. So that means I've separated the logical properties. You see, this file has only the declarations, and this file has only the implementation. Compared to now, if I was going to say use that one, okay, let me do this. This part is very important. Control V. You see, if I was not using the concept of abstraction, I was going to do it like that. You see, but now there is a concept of abstraction that is being introduced in object-oriented programming. So that means now I'm not going to use this method. I'm going to create a separate file for doing this thing. I'm going to create a separate file for doing this thing. So that is the concept of abstraction. So siyabonga, I hope ivakele ukuthi ndiyezamile njengakuthi but ke anikadinwa if uka-understand you can try ke ivakele siye. Cwenga. Sure. Cwenga, I think you have a question. All right. Cwenga, you have a question.
No, I don't have a question.
All right. Do you understand the concept of abstraction? No.
Yes, I do also.
Yeah, and the concept of encapsulation. All right. Encapsulation, do you understand the concept of encapsulation?
Yes.
All right. So you understand, right? Okay. You started defining the encapsulation, then we move to information hiding when we are talking about the access specifier, which is private. And then we moved to abstraction, which is one we are on right now. But we're just separating logical properties from the implementation. So guys, do you understand this one? Hope you do. Anyone doesn't understand something so that you can just solve it now before we move on? Anyone? All right, let's move on. All right, and there are properties, but I'm going to mention those right now. Okay, let's just continue. All right. And then now let's write the implementation for all those functions. So it's this one. So what is happening on this function? So again, I'm using my syntax, which is this one. I said you just write the return tag first, and then second you write the name of the class, which is book, and then you write the scope resolution operator. Then yeah, you're fine there. And then I come to the definition now. See now, we are going to take that, copy that again. Copy that. You see, you repeat more stuff. So that means you can score more marks. Paste that. And then you will remove that part on the right side. Remove part on the right side. Remove part on the right side. Remove part on the right side. But this one, no, I'm gonna leave it like that. You see, yes. And then now, what's going on? And then now, on the main function, we're going to declare an object. So let me do that part so that you can see it practically. So this is the client. This is the client code or the client program. To also include that header file. Then hashtag include work with h to include that header file. Then I would say int main function. Then I say return 0 blah blah, obviously. And then so we're still answering this question. All right, don't mind that. So let's just say book, and then book, guess. So that means this one, just declaring object, and then again I can say book, book 2, and then I can say author. Let's say the arrangement. Don't confuse the arrangement. Make sure that you use this arrangement. You see, it's author, It's ISBN, it's title, it's price. Okay? So that means the author, I can say Ian Somerville. And then I can say the ISBN. Say it's F123. I don't even know what is ISBN, and I'm just gonna write that since so that's a string. And then I'm going to also let's check the and also and then it's author, it's ISBN, it's title, the title of the book, then it's software engineering, and then it's the last one. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then now it's the price. Let's say the book cost 1,500 rands. Then boom, up that one. So you see what is happening here. These values are getting inside here. See, these values are getting inside here. You see, order, we're putting order inside this parameter. We are putting this ISBN inside this parameter. We are putting this this title, which is software engineering, inside the title. We are putting this price, which is 1,500, inside this P, which is for price. See, now make sure that you don't confuse the arrangement. Make sure that when you put the arrangement here, you make sure that this one goes to author. You see, because this is the author. This one is called ISBN, goes to the ISBN. This one, it's what? It's a software engineering, is the title. Make sure it goes to the title. This one, it's 1,500. It goes to the price. Right? And then now, we have to now put these values inside an object. So that means now we are going to copy this author inside this private variable, which is author. Right? So that means now I'm putting it inside my object. And again, I take the ISBN and I copy it inside to this private member. And then again, I take the string and then I copy it inside this title. And then again, I copy the price inside. I put the value. See, this is 0.0. So no, don't put that. It's P. I put this price and then I copy it inside this one. You see, whatever that is on the right side is being copied to the left side. So that means now this is 1,500. I'm putting inside this value, which is price. You see, then I'm done. But now I can validate because now there's no price which is negative. So that means now if I say I want to validate my data, I'm gonna say F price that is entered by the user here. If the user enters negative 1,500, so I just say, okay, if price is less than 0, just say, okay, price is equal to, let's say price is equal to 0.0, but this is pointless because initially the price is 0.0, but the concept, you are on the right path, but it's tedious. Okay, just don't accept the price, just say, okay, if price it's greater, it's greater than 0.0, just say, all right, I'm going to use that one. Yes, and then that means this is called the validation of a data. Yes, but don't ever forget this concept. You're gonna say it on your final year. Yes, in software engineering. So now that means now, if the price is greater than 0.00, that means just take that price and copy it inside this price. But now, so that means there is as part somewhere. That means if the price now is negative, that means it's going to remain as that one. See? Yes. I hope you get this validation of data thing. I hope you get this one. So that means now, this now it's negative 1,500. That means now it's not going to be copied inside this one. So that means now that one is not going to be copied inside the object. Yes, because it's negative. So that means only the negative value, that means the value that is greater than 0.0, that is going to be inserted into the object. Yes. And then guys, do understand this input validation thing. Input validation. For instance, if I want to validate a student number, I have to make sure that the student number is now 9 digits. The student number is made of 9 digits. So that means if the user now enters the student number that is less than 9 digits, I'm not going to accept that student number. If the user enters a student number that is more than 9 digits, I'm not going to accept that student number. So that is input validation. The ID number, your identification number, it has 13 digits. If the user now enters the identification number that is less than 13 digits, I'm not going to accept that ID number. If the user is entering the identification number more than 13 digits, again, I'm not going to accept that identification number. So that means I can only accept identification number that has 13 digits only. So less than or more than, I'm not going to accept that. So that is the concept of input validation. Yes, I hope you understand that one. All right, so let's continue with this one. So this one, I'm just going to return the static value. Just say return total books. So I'll just say return. Oh, sorry. So this is not the one. This is not the one. So this one is display. Looking ahead. So maybe it's the time. Okay, display book info. So guys, whenever you are displaying something, you have to remember you are going to use say out. That's the first thing that comes into mind. You are going to use what? Say out. But because you're going to print some data. You're going to use what? Say out. And then whenever you're going to get the data from the input, you are going to use say. Now, in this case, now we have a function. We have a function which is display info. This function is for printing what? The author, the ISBN, the title, and the price of the book. So that means now we're going to use what? Say out. But now there must be a linking between this function prototype and this header file. So how do we do that? As I said first, that you write the return type first, and then let's just do that. You write the return type. So the return type for this function is void, and then the class name is book, and then the scope resolution operator. And then we're fine. And then we come to the implementation part. So that means now when I'm printing, I'm going to use a C out and then I say, okay, author. So here I'm printing the user, okay, this is the author. And then I print the value of author. I say author. Or I can say a line. I can just, I want to skip line. When I'm going to print author, then I skip line, and then I print the ISBN, and then I skip line. I print the title, and then I skip line, and then last I print the price. So that's why I put the end line. See, this one, it's C out, it's for printing. It's called console output. And then this one is called the insertion operator. And then this one is the string. So this is for indicating, okay, what are you printing here? So I'll first indicate I'm printing author, and then I print the author. Yeah. So now I'm using this author, that variable. So I'm printing this author. So again, for C out, and then I say, then I indicate again, okay, this is ISBN. So there is just indication, and then I said ISBN, and then I said inline. So that's inline, guys. That's inline. Okay, so that means now I indicate that I'm printing ISBN, and then on this part, I'm printing ISBN. So this is just indicate. Okay, I'm printing ISBN, and then I print ISBN. So this is the out, and this is the value, the variable or a container that is containing the ISBN. And this is n line, it's for skipping line, so that the value that is going to be printed on the console is going to be printed on the next line. And then again, let me print another one, which is, this is the title. So let's indicate that, okay, this is a title, this is a title. Oh my God, what am I doing? This is the title. And then let me put that, and then I put that, and then I said title. So whenever you are naming your variables, make sure that they are small letters. Make sure you use small letters whenever you are naming what your variables, so that you can be able to identify a function from a variable, and also you can be able to, yeah. Sorry about that. So there's this one. All right. Where was okay, let's go back. All right. So again, upper, I'm printing the title. And then I want the next statement to be printed on the next line. And then let's print now the price. So price. And then I said, all right. And then I print the price. And then I put in line, yes. And then now I want the price. You see, this is 1,500, right? And now this is just the indication. Okay, this 1,500 is a price. So this statement is price, and then now it's going to print that 1,500 or that 2,000, whatever value that I'm going to pass it here. You see, yes. So now that means now I want to also include this thing. What do you call this thing? For dollar, naira, not sure. This currency. I think it's currency, but I'm not sure. So this R. Now I have to say this is 1,500. So if I put it like that, you see, if I put it like that, so the output is going to be like this: 1,000. It's going to be R. It's going to be price. and then say, and then R, and then 1500. You have to imagine the output that you are trying to print. So, but now, if I move that one, I close that space, it's going to be like that one. And I want it to be like that one. So, see, price 1500. Yes. And then now let's go to this one, which is static what. So even this one, obviously you start with the return type, int book, and then blah blah blah. So here you have your int, and then you have which is the return type, and then again you have what? You have also a class name, and then you have your scope resolution operator. See? And then you have your, what does this function do? It's going to return the number of objects created. So I'll just call this one. See, call this one to count the number of objects created. And then boom. I'm sure I have many questions. Let me go and hear the questions. Wait, what is this? Yeah, any questions? I'm sure you have many questions. But I'm going to ask you questions. I'll just pick someone, then ask a question. Now, the question, guys, or do you understand? There are two options. This is a binary situation. It's either you understand or you have a question. It's either you understand or you have a question. Yeah, it's a binary situation. It's more like that. So, anyone with a question? Annalisa? Oh, I have 68 people. One Baba leg. Not cream, guys. Don't cream. This is done like this. Go to YouTube and watch my videos. Let me visit my YouTube channel so that you can. Let me show you this video that I was referring to. Dr. Lloyd Tinaro. Let me search for Yoga Mama. I need your comedy. This is, so you see it's object-oriented programming. And then you go there. Wait. Yeah. And then let's look for this. Where is author? This is the one by Dr. Lloyd Tinaro. And then yeah, this is the one by Dr. Lloyd Tinaro. Okay, do that. Yes. Skip that. So the timestamp, I guess. Maybe the timestamp somewhere. Yeah, there's a timestamp. See, let's just set one. Go to timestamp. Destructor. If you want to know what is a destructor, go there. Constructor, go there. How to call constructor, go there. Yes, the definition of constructor, go there. And then you go here, data abstraction. For data abstraction, come here. And then this is the abstract data types. It's gonna introduce the abstract data types. See, these are abstract data types. These are abstract data types. These are abstract properties of abstract data type, the operations. Yes, blah blah blah. Yes. And then let's. So go to my YouTube channel if you feel like, and you check the abstraction and watch that video. Even this one, I'm gonna post it on YouTube so that you can watch it later, because you're not going to be able to see it on Teams because you are not embedded on Teams. But I'm gonna share the link for it. All right. I hope guys you understood this thing.
So-
Yes.
ngicela ubuyisele emva usithi static member
Yeah, I won't be saying, but it's fine. Thank you for the question, by the way. So we have the static member and the non-static member. You see? A static member now belongs to the object. Sorry, a static member belongs to the class, but a non-static member now belongs to the object. You see? A non-static member belongs to what? To the object. And now a static member belongs to the class. You see? That's the difference between the two. You see now here I have a total book as a static member. So that means now this one belongs to a book. So that means now if I want to call this one, I'm going to use a class name and a scope resolution operator and the total book. But now a non-static member now, I'm going to use what? An object. For instance, if I want to call this function, which is display book, I'm going to use this object, which is book2, to call this method, which is display book info. So that's the difference between two. A static member belongs to the class, a non-static member belongs to the object. Yes. I hope you get it right.
yeah ndiyakuva bra so ke implement
Yes. So
implement as
Oh,
implement
let's
static sibe no
go
book
to the
machine.
Yes, let's go to the implementation so that I can say it. So this is the prototype of get totals, right? This is the static member function, or this is a static function prototype, right? This is a static function prototype. And now, as when we implement it now, when we want to implement it like this. We just remove that static and then the rest is the same, you see? The rest is the same, just like the non-static members. Just write the return type, the class name, the scope resolution operator, and then the function now. Just remove the static now. Even if you see the static variable here, you don't have a static because we are just writing the implementation. You see, yes. So guys, me understand so far. Siviwe bana. Udlanjwa. Iyevakala right so far. Uvakala njani? Yeah.
Abhala noko.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right. So this part, guys, this is the most important part. This is where you score all your marks. This part. Oh, yes. This is where you score all your marks. This part. When you are writing this part. Yes. Just write this part, and then you write this part after. You see, yes. This is where you score most marks. This part, and we're just writing the implementation for this function. Implementation is very important. The abstraction is very important. I hope guys you understood what is abstraction, what is information hunting, what is encapsulation, practically. Ungangixelele ngokuyinqaya from the book. Because when you're defining it, you have to also give the example. Luvuyo. What is it, comrade?
Sorry, I was not clear about the abstract data type. I want to know, like, what's the difference between the logic function? You're talking about the logic function. I was also not clear about that part.
Sorry, I explained. The mic is off. So we're just separating the implementation from logical properties. These are logical properties. Yes. Do you understand now, volume? Volume.
You're not clear, sir. I think it's a network. I don't hear you.
Oh, I think maybe it's a problem of. All right. Am I in the okay? So the concept of abstraction says you separate the logical properties, which are this one, from the implementation. This is the implementation file. Now we're separating the logical properties from the implementation. I see. This is the concept of abstraction. This is how you define what? The abstraction. We're separating the logical properties from, these are logical properties. I am highlighting them. Block, line number 12, line number 14, line number 15, line number 16, from the implementation. So we have this property, which is block. This is the implementation. We separate it from this property, which is block. So we're separating the logical properties from the implementation. So that is just simple abstraction. So volume, do you understand? No, I can also try using another way or another methodology to explain it more simpler. So don't get tired. Don't get tired. So do you understand it now?
Yes, sir.
Ah, that's nice. That's nice. Anyone else with a question before we proceed? See,
Sorry.
yes.
So into ilanto implementation form of abstraction.
So implementation was we are writing these functions, right? So we have these functions. If we don't know the difference, let's say these are functions, right? Then this function is more like this. Do that part like that, and then let's proceed. Then okay, yes. So let's say I'm not going to write these shapers. I'll just write this into a single file. So I'm going to have it this function like this. So that means now this is just the implementation. Everything is here on the same file, one file. Yes. So, but now the concept of abstraction is being introduced, and they say that is the process whereby we separate the logical properties from the implementation. So that means now I just have to separate, 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 separate. That means now the implementation is being separated from the implementation. You just separate how to use from how does it work. You see, that's the idea behind separate the use from the design. I hope you have a gala, right? You have a gala and listen.
Ewe ndiyakuva.
Yes. All right. Okay. Anyone with a question? All right, so no one has a question. Let's proceed. So there's a question, right? Before I've created this to just show you how to write the implementation. So when I was writing that, I wanted to show you how to write these things. But now let's answer the question. So I'm gonna write the same thing, but I'm just gonna show you. You have to know the question. What does the question want? Okay, who is that? Implement, blah blah. Okay, all right. This is that. So now we have number 5. In the main function, demonstrate the usage of book class by creating several objects, displaying their information in accessing the total number of books created using static number function. Is it? Sorry. Yes, and then now this is number 5, which is the last step. So everyone is going to get marks on this part. Everyone is going to get marks on this part. Let's hope so. So even if you are given different class, you're just going to use the same methodology. You write private, public, even this class, so write the same. We use the same methodology for every type of a class. So don't cram this. Whenever we are creating a class, we use the same methodology. But this one, let's delete that part. Yes, use the same. Don't forget this part. Yes. Yes, and then now. So yayibona ke ngole. So number 5. Oh God. Yes, hey, sorry guys for that. My battery shut down for a minute. Back recharging. Okay, so we're doing number 5. So number 5 is saying, Yavagala, right? Yavagala. I need a hand, I need a voice. I need a hand, I need a... Sure. Thank you. All right. The question. We're saying number 5, in the main function, demonstrate the usage of book class by creating several book objects, displaying their information in accessing the total number of books created using the static number function. Yes, so it's very clear. We're in the main function, so that means we're going to create a separate file for the main function, and then demonstrate the usage of book. So that means in the main function, so Don't forget to include that one, but yes. And then now we say hashtag int main. So a function, right? It has a return type, which is int. It has the function name. It has those brackets to indicate that this is a function. And then it has a body. And then it must return something. 0, return a type. And then now we say book. And then we say book 1. Yes. All right, I'll be with you in a second. So declaring object, declaring object. All right.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't see your screen.
Who else doesn't see my screen? Sylvan, do you see my screen? I see your hand is up.
Oh, no, I can't see.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm not sharing my screen. Thank you. You see, at least guys, you are participating. All right, so can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, can you see my screen? So now in the main function, so the question was saying, let's go to the question. What was it saying? You see, use the same concept all the time. What is this question? Yes. Number 5, in the main function, demonstrate the usage of book class by creating several book objects, displaying their book information, and accessing the total number of books created using static member function. So that means the static member function is going to give us the total number of books created, and then we're going to demonstrate the usage of book by creating several book objects, displaying their information. So that means to display the information, we just call the print function. So we have that one, and then again say book. So by doing this part, I'm calling this function. This is a default constructor, right? So that means now I'm initializing my number variables initially. Then again, I say book 2. And then so that means now I'll just put the values now. So let me use the book in front of me. So now I'm putting the values. I have 4 strings. So it's going to show you this thing. Yes. So now that means now I want to call this one now. I want to put some values inside my object book 2. So I have the author, I have ISBN, I have title, I have price, right? Yes. And then now, so that means I have author, which is G as Malik. So that is the author. And then on this part, I have what? I have ISBN. So where is ISBN for this one? Oh, I think I see the ISBN for this book that I'm using. It's so it's 0550133 for Malik, and then it's I'm not sure but it's ISBN, but something like that. And then it's the title. The title is saying C++ programming, and then the price. Let's just say it's 1,500. Your NS files, and then yes. And then that means now this was the first one. And now let's print now the book 2. You see, when I'm clicking print, it must do that. It must recommend which function to choose, because that means I'm on the right path, because it's recommending functions to call. This one, I don't have this one. I don't have print. I have what? Now I want to print now this information. So I'm going to use this function, which is display book info. So I'll just say display, but I have to just take it as it is, so that against error spelling, Control V. And that means now this function is going to print the SMALIC, the ISBN, the title, and the price. And then again, I want to, what else that I'm doing? I want to, what else do I have? The total box. See now, this one, it's the book. And then scope resolution operator, and then it's the non-static now. So this one is the static one, so it's control, copy, and then control V, and then there's that. So as you can see, in this part, let's hope it's still recording. Let me check if it's recording. Yeah, I think it's recording. Or record, it's not recording. Oh, but I think I can try to. Okay. Try to put this part. Okay. Oh, let me record this part, and then we are the wide outside. Stop recording and I think it's recording. I'm not sure what's going on. The weather. Thunderstorm, lightning. So, all right. So at this part, so let me try and come to this part. Hashtag include the string, and then say hashtag yes, using namespace as td, namespace as td, and then and that. Now let's try and compile a program. So why do you compile the programs? We want to convert them into a machine language or a binary language so that they can be understood by the CPU or the computer. So I'm going to hit compile and run. So now that means that whenever you are writing a program, we're not actually trying to check if there are errors or not. We just want to compile the program so that it can be converted. But now the program is not going to be converted if it has the errors. For instance, this one, it has an error. So like whenever you're coding, don't be afraid when you see an error. Just try to fix it. It's like total book declared in the scope, and it's right because I have a total box with 2 O's, but here I have a total box with 3 O's. So that means I have to get rid of that, and again combine. So again, I've done the same thing here. I fixed the part, and then again, and then this part is saying expected before initialize. So that means now the function, the body of the function. You see now at this part, I'm closing the body of the function, but where's the opening? It's not there. The curly brace for opening the body of the function. And then again, you fix that one, and then again it's saying CR was not declared. Why? Saying CR was not declared, so that means I have to use hashtag include IOString. You see now IOString, it's hashtag include input output stream header file. It's for defining the cout and in for both input and output. Yes. And then you compile again. And then now we have total books was not declared. This is the same error as before. And then you compile again. And then you see now there's this type of program, this type of error. It's saying different reference book, blah, 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 blah. Then saying project 200, blah, blah, blah. So again, do not worry about this one. Then just close this one, then come to this one. Then it's hashtag include book. And then, yeah, let me put this one up there. Let's see. Because it's going to be defined if I put it there. Paste, and then you say compile. And then we have the same undefined reference to book. So now whenever it's saying indifference, that means the error is related to the linking of the program, not to the program itself, because that means you don't have the errors regarding to how the program works. The error is on the linking part with your files. So just have to look, well, okay, what's going on between your project. We have the book H, which is this one, and then we have this one. So this one, book.h, book.cpp, client.cpp. So the error is on the reference part. Okay. So and define the reference to book total books. Book total books. Books total books. So get total books, and then we have this one. And let's go to this one. So I think it's related to this one. So let's try and put some debugging. So by doing this process, we're trying to debug. We're looking for something that is making our code to not run. I also put this one, and then compile my code. And then again, it's giving me the same problem. Managed to include. Let's go here. Let's get rid of that one. And that one. Yes. Okay. But it's still giving the same problems. So again, that means the error is not there on this part, which is the to get total books. So let me consider closing my compiler, close the project and opening it again. Save changes, yes. Open it again, it's giving me troubles. Close. Let's open the compiler and then we'll restart the compiler. Say dev C++. Dev C++. And open the compiler. All right, say open. And then we have this one. That's the project that I want to open. So I can do it like this. Where is it located? Say open. And let's see if it's going to open. Yes, it has opened. Then let me try to Oh, still giving me the same problem. All right. Okay. What is this? Let's cut that one. Put it there. Paste it there. And then try to compile again. Does not name a type. So that means I have to bring back this guy. Again, cut. Then put it here. And this guy using namespace standard. Total books was not declared. Okay, let me get rid of that. And get rid of that guy. Yes. So okay, this is how you debug the program. You first you start small. So I hope you're not scared when I was debugging the code. Don't ever get scared when you're looking for troubles into your code. You start small. You see now, first we just removed the parts that we thought now like it can give us trouble. Then we're gonna bring them back. Let's bring them back now. So let's say let's bring this guy back. Okay. Bring that guy back. See now the code, the piece of code is running. It gave us this, the auth is DS money, the SBN, that's the SBN. The title C++ programming, the price is 1,500. Now let's look, let's bring back another guy, which is this one. And then let's bring back another guy, which is that one. And then this one also, box. And then this one also, return to box, yes. And then here also, let's get that one. And then default constructor. All right. And that is a comment. Okay. So now that means you see, because once I brought this guy back now, that means the error was being introduced when I was doing this thing of creating this static member variable. So that means now this is the guy that is introducing this type of error, this one. You see this error that is going to pop up. So because if now I remove this one, I remove this, which is this book, then the scope resolution operator, and then that one. So now if I remove this one, then, okay. So that means once, you see the program was running, and then I introduced this guy of static member get the total box. So that means now it continued to, it gave me an error. But once I get rid of this guy, it's running just like this. It's giving me the output as in this one. So go and fix this one because now my time is over. Go and try to fix this problem so that you can print this, so that you can get rid of this making error. You see, now it's printing, but yeah, there's a storm outside, but I'm gonna give you the memo for this thing. And it's just there's a storm. We see the output was supposed to also calculate the number of objects created, the number of the book. This was the first book. So the second book will be like this. For writing the second book, you can just say copy and paste this part. See, copy and paste this part, Control C, and then Control V. And then you put another book, can be Ian Soma Bailey, and then there's this thing of Papa, and then there's another type, you can say software engineering, and then the book can cost about, let's say it costs 35,000. You see, that's the second book. So that means, sorry, this is the third book. So this is a different book. This is different from this one. So by saying several objects she was referring to, you just create different. This one is different book, and this one is different book. So that means now to print this one, you have to use the book dot tree. Sorry, book tree. This is book tree, right? The object is book tree, and then we call the function to display, which is display, which is that display. Display the book info. See, display the book info. So this one is going to print those ones. So let me just remove this part that is giving us trouble so that we can fix it later now, so that we can focus on the part that is working, which is this part. It's not working. So let's get rid of it for now, but we just and then put our books. If it's still giving us problems, still giving us problems. So let's go to the main file. So the main file, we have this one, and also we have this one. So we have this one. We have another total box here. And then, boom. See, now I have the second book, which cost about 35,000 rands. But let me also separate. So let me skip a line so that you can see clearly the second one. So left side, see out, and then end line, and end line. And I do it this part. See out was not declared, see out. Okay. So it's not declared, obviously. Let's go and out for control. So say control C. Then we go to this part for displaying. So that means after a book is displayed, we want to skip a line. See, now it's much better. You can see that this is the first. This is the first book. This is the second book. Yes. But the part which we are missing is the part which is writing the calculation. But I just wanted to show you these marks, but we are going to fix that part, but later on. Yes. So, guys, any questions? I see 19 people now. So people are leaving. Yes, I have 19 people. So do you see now how to write how to separate code into three files, the implementation, the main function? So don't mind this part, I'm gonna fix it, and I'm going to give you this, I'm going to share this memo with you in the group, and also the recording, I'll share it on the group. So guys, are you okay? Are you fine? Any questions so far? Any questions? Anyone? Because I don't think you understood everything on this part. So you can ask questions on this part. So this is a comment. So whatever that is here, it's not recognized by the compiler. So that is a comment. So any questions so far? Anyone with a question? Any comment? You can comment also. I just need someone else to talk other than me. I need someone else to talk other than me. So guys, you understand everything. Oh, okay, let me check something. Who says that the class rep understand everything? Caesar. Mike, I'm going to do. Second. Better up here when you can talk. Yeah, you see, this is the concept of abstraction. So it's necessary for you to separate because you're applying the concept of abstraction. You see, because they say when you're defining abstraction, it's the concept. Yes. 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 A period, Kawuka. Can you just lightning? AP. I know I'm asked with a question. I guess we can call it a day. We'll do a second one tomorrow. I hope you understood everything. Yeah, I hope you understood everything. So this was the file output that we get. So we've missed one thing. So this is incomplete. So the part that we've missed is the one of calculating the number of books created, which is the one that I'm going to fix. It's just that now I cannot be doing that wasting time because the weather is like this outside. So, but I'm going to fix it and then share it with you. Because now I'm feeling the pressure, the weather and stuff. So, but did you guys understand or understood? Is there anyone with a question? Because I'm leaving the meeting now. I'm closing. Class rep, I'm closing. Excuse me. Class rep, where's class rep? I'm sued. It wasn't sued. I'm not sure, but I think that's the class rep. I think the class rep left. So I'll just leave the group. See you guys tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Thank you.